Hey everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're making sushi, and I'm also gonna try and make this like, not necessarily a quicker video, but I'm gonna possibly change up like the kind of the flow of the segments and stuff and like how I kind of do things. So it's gonna be interesting, let me know. But since we're making sushi, obviously big elephant in the room, we're dealing with raw fish. So you need to do like a little research on your end to find out what fish locally to you can eat raw. There's obviously like things online for like how to deal with like the parasites and like bacteria and stuff like that can grow on raw things. So like in terms of like the parasite, it's like throw it in the freezer for a week, should take care of those. And then in turn, like on the flip side of that, the bacteria stuff like botulism, for example, that thrives in like a low oxygen environment. And this is more like when you're thawing out the salmon, or at least I'm using salmon. If you're using whatever, I'm pretty sure it applies. But like botulism like thrives in like a low oxygen environment, which is why it typically affects people who are like canning. But when you move it from the freezer to the refrigerator, you probably had it in something that's like airtight. And so just make sure that you have some kind of vent within that so that it's not airtight, because then that kind of stuff can grow. And I think that's the health stuff out of the way. I know I kind of went over that pretty quick, but you're smart people. Don't just blindly trust me for things. Do like a little bit of research, be like, don't just be shoving raw fish in your mouth. That's what I'm saying. Like make sure you kind of do your due diligence before consuming raw goods. So that's like kind of like the one big hurdle with this is consuming raw fish. You kind of gotta come to terms with that. And then on the other side is finding a ripe avocado. Like, man, is that hard? I'm actually filming this a day later because my avocado yesterday didn't quite seem ripe. So I'm like, we'll give it another day. And I mean, also like this is to me like one of those fun recipes that you kind of view as being like unattainable almost. Like you're like sushi, like you have to go out to get that. Like I can't make that here, but it's actually super easy. Like that's what baffled me about this. Like when I first tried, I'm like, you know what, let's do it. Because you don't really need a whole lot of gear. Like, I mean, I use my Instant Pot to make the rice, but I mean, you could make that on the stovetop with pots and pans that you already have. The only thing that I had to buy for this is this bamboo mat from Amazon for like $3. So you go buy one of those and then you're good to go. Don't get those machines with like the tube and stuff that you put it in. If I can roll this thing, you can roll this thing. It's like once you see how it's done, you're like easy peasy lemon squeezy. But I think that's, I mean, it's super simple. Like that, it blows my mind every time that I make this because it's just like, that's it. Like that's all this took. And granted, I'm making Philadelphia rolls, which are pretty basic. It's just avocado, cream cheese, and salmon. I wouldn't have the nori on the outside because dealing with rice on the outside is a sticky madness. I've tried it once. I did not like it. It did not go well. So I try and keep that rice on the inside. And so far, it's made me very happy. But I think I've rambled enough. We're gonna run through those ingredients and then we're gonna get some sushi. Like it's gonna be like that. Like just buckle up, your mind's gonna be blown. Sushi rice. White wine vinegar, rice vinegar, salt, sugar, salmon, cream cheese, avocado, and sushi nori. So the first step, well, the first kind of segment of making sushi is to make the rice. And that's actually gonna be like the biggest time investment because you have to make it and then let it cool. It's not very hands-on, but it takes like 40 minutes because it's like 20 to cook it and then like 20 to cool it. I put mine in front of a fan, so that might help it. You don't wanna, I mean, I guess you could eat warm rice. I just feel like the warm rice and like the cold fish probably would be like a weird contrast. So let it cool as much as you want, but you're the chef, so do what feels right. Actually, you probably don't want to do that because, well, no. I don't know how fast bacteria grows, but if you have it like warm, then that could be like an incubator. I don't know. The first step for making the rice is going to actually be to rinse the rice. And so like I just have a strainer that I'm going to use. You put the rice in there, you run some water over it. I try and save water, so I like run the water over it and then I turn it off and then I kind of shake it a bit to get as much like the starch off of it, and then I rinse it again and then kind of shake it off. I don't know if that's the ideal way to do it, but that's the way that I do it, and that's the way I'm going to show you how to do it. So now that the rice is rinsed, next is put it in the Instant Pot and then cook it. So for me at least, the Instant Pot has finished cooking, but it's in like that depressurizing phase. I'm going to make the next step, which is make like the vinegar, sugar, salt mixture that you're gonna put over top. I don't know if that actually has like a term within like the sushi making world. It probably does. And I should have Googled it beforehand, but you know, this is a great time for old editing Aaron to put in the word here. Oh, would you look at that? Hopefully I held my hand up long enough. So the next step is to make whatever that was. And then we need to microwave it for a minute, and then you just kind of stir it all up so it's mixed together. The rice is depressurized. I put it into a glass bowl. I'm gonna guess here for the reasoning behind this is it says to put it in, I think a wooden or a glass bowl, not metal, because I think the metal reacts with the like acid from the vinegar to affect the flavor somehow. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm gonna use a glass bowl, and I'm gonna put the rice into the glass bowl, and then I'm going to put the vinegar mixture over top, and then I need to stir it, and then we're gonna let that cool. So now we've effectively completed the rice step. So that's the one big thing that we need to do. And so the next step is to kind of prep like the filling ingredients that are, you're gonna put into the sushi itself. And so it's gonna be the salmon, the avocado, and the cream cheese. So pretty much all of those you need to kind of cut into slices because that's the format that they fit best. Like if they're chunks, you can't really roll up a chunk of it because you kind of wanna fill it long ways. So my salmon was already cut in, well, not already, I cut it into a kind of, I guess, fillet? I don't know. I'm gonna take that and just kind of cut slices out of it. And with the amount of rice I have, it roughly makes about 3 rolls. So I'm going to, and I think the width with the salmon is 3 pieces for the width. I'll kind of eyeball it. So my goal is 9 slices of that. And then I'm gonna cut up the avocado and then also cut up the cream cheese into similar sized bits. So you get a nice even amount of each flavor, and you don't want one overpowering the other. All right, so now that we have the rice, now that we have everything prepped, now it's kind of time to put it all together. And this is where this bad boy comes into play. And I'm using it for visuals because there's 2 sides to it. So you got like the bumpy side and you got the flat side. You're gonna put the nori on the flat side and then also make sure that, things line up with the roll, because I'm sure that you all are put this together already. But if you put it not in line with this, it's just gonna roll on top of each other. So you need to make sure that lines up. You got this. You have good brains. You will logically, when you're looking at it, you're like, this is how I need to do this. And also, if it doesn't work, you can just kind of rotate things. It's not the end of the world. Mistakes can be fixed. They're happy little accidents. Stealing that from Bob Ross, but it works here as well. Arguably, a little easier to fix than paint because all you have to do is just turn some rice on seaweed. You got this. Now the next step, if any actual sushi person is out there, will probably try and kill me. But for cutting the roll, I found, probably because my knives aren't like the super sharpest, I have some whetstones that I need to figure out how to like properly get my knives like super sharp. But with sushi, if you're using a not perfectly sharp like kitchen knife, it's just gonna kind of push everything. And so I found that a serrated knife works a lot better if you just kind of like essentially saw just slowly through. Like you're not trying to be aggressive and you're not trying to put down a lot of pressure. You're just kind of slowly just tearing everything apart to get it, for me, gives a bit of a cleaner cut for something that's kind of delicate like this. I know that's probably against all of the rules, but if it gets the job done, that's all I'm saying. You can comment below how terrible of a person I am, but this is the way I'm doing it, and it works. Let's cut up the rolls that we've just rolled, and then we're gonna be ready to eat. All right, here we have it. It's beautiful, it's majestic. I did lie earlier. My math was wrong. I thought it was 3, and it's 3 rolls technically with like the shenanigans that I pull. Because like you can see, I'll use an example. So you can see here, that roll right there is unnecessary. So like the roll, you could have essentially saved like half a turn of nori if you were smart about it. So the other method, which I didn't show because I kind of chickened out midway through, is you essentially do once again, the way that I do it, is you essentially do like the full roll until like you're like, okay, this roll's pretty tight. And then you take it off the bamboo mat and then cut the excess. And then that kind of gives you like an extra little bit. And then I put in like 1 roll in there and then roll that up. And then to me, it's usually, so it's like 2 noris, but then you kind of get like 3 rolls out of it because you have 2 full ones and then like 2 half ones. It works. I have a little bit of rice left over, but not enough to make a 3rd like full roll. So that's the kind of place that you're in. I mean, granted, the recipe that I'm giving you, I halved. So like if you're making at home, the recipe that I'm gonna put and associate with this for the rice, I did half of that. So don't think that you need to double that if you're trying to make more than 2 to 3. All that rambling is to kind of cover my butt a little bit from what I said previously. And I mean, this recipe, to me, I mean, I have some wasabi that I bought, a little bit of soy sauce. It's so good. It's so easy. It's so good. Just go make this. Go make this now, and then tell me how great your life is. Because it's just like, I'm just like, I made this. It's like fancy sushi. I can't say the word now. I'm too excited. That I made for such a fraction of the cost. Like this is one of those recipes I probably talk about how much things, because I'm a big proponent of like, you cooking at home, you're gonna save so much money. But that's neither here nor there. But I mean, it's like this plate that I have here was probably like $4. So like you can't, unless you're gonna get food poisoning, you can't buy sushi for that cheap. I mean, like I'm ranting and raving about this because it's fantastic. So obviously it's gonna be 5 out of 5. Like, come on. Did you think I wouldn't? And on that note, bye mom, still not dead. See ya.